I'll sit down. I'll grab a chair for you as well.
If you
don't
sit
have
down,
to even
we'll finally
get close
be
to
equal
it.
height.
There's no noise gate. So, ladies and gentlemen, Dan Toomey is here. Are you related to Pat Toomey?
No.
No, you're not. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, I mean, maybe like somewhere down the line, I might be related to Pat Toomey, but people have given me that before. People have even just approached me and gone, Pat Toomey?
That's what because Toomey is such a unique last name.
Yeah.
Is that Ariana Grande's boyfriend? Yes, it's Ariana Grande's boyfriend. Also known as SpongeBob SquarePants in the Broadway musical.
SpongeBob on Ice. Oh, it's the Broadway one?
I think, yeah. Anyway, Pat has a
Patrick,
sorry.
please.
Patrick. You guys might recognize my guest today from Good Work, the YouTube channel, and or maybe you know him from TikTok. We're going to be, we're just gonna be shooting the shit.
Chopping it
right
up.
now. I'm currently watching.
Oh, how is this?
We're watching liberal propaganda currently. Hold on, I'm gonna bring this down real.
Is this guy? I haven't seen this segment yet.
Okay, here I'll get you a chair.
This is humbling. This is humbling when you walk into somewhere and they go, "Oh, let's just lower everything so it feels appropriate for him."
No, don't. I mean, it'd be weird if we were just standing while we were doing this.
Yeah. This is a good angle.
It has nothing to do with your height.
Yeah. That's what they all say.
And the major.
That's what they all say.
And the major height difference that we have.
No. It has nothing to do with your height.
Yeah.
Thanks, dude.
No. I like your height.
Your
that's
height's
small.
great. Yeah.
It's perfect.
It's just I prefer embarrassing.
Yeah. Okay. So you're you don't normally live in Los Angeles.
No.
Yeah. You're just here. Is that Dan Toomey from the Hollywood Improvs? That's someone.
Hey, yeah, it's good. We got a show tomorrow.
Look at that.
Show tomorrow
There you
night.
go.
Look at that. I didn't even have to plug.
Yeah. And that's why he was in town. And I was like, you know what? We got to have you on. I reached out a while back when I was reacting to some of your videos, and I've been meaning to have you on the show. For those of you who don't know, here I'll show you a little bit of his work here. We watched a bunch of you guys'. How big is the operation?
For Good Work?
Yeah.
It is me and another guy named Henry Stockwell, and that's kind of it. Working on the channel, that's it. It's just us two who make
nice.
it. Yeah.
All right. Well, you've done a tremendous amount of great content that we reacted to. Like, does private equity own everything? Why is LinkedIn so weird? What do venture capitalists actually do?
Yeah.
Big capitalist, and you love capitalism.
It's great. I mean, what's not to love about it? You know?
It seems like you're a big fan, and that's
I was
why
born into it. As Pat Toomey, I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, well, he is a business magnate, turned senator,
and that's what we're trying to do. What we're hoping with Good Work is that we can really transform this into like a media conglomerate, and we can start to buy up smaller franchises. And really just kind of bleed them dry for everything that they have.
Yeah, but that's why I brought you in here, so that I could be bought out by you guys.
This is a bear hug that's happening right now, actively. The smallest bear hug. This is a cub grab.
What's your background?
In college I was a journalism major. And
lame. Okay.
It was super cool, man.
Not one of those good ones. Not one of those good majors like business.
Journalism was really interesting because like you would be there. It was like sectored off. Like some kids would be super passionate about politics, and a lot of kids just really wanted to be like the host of like, a show. It would just be like, I just want to be a host, Yeah. But I did like comedy and journalism in college. Super cool, by the way, to get into that combination right there. Graduated, did journalism for a bit, but didn't really have much headway in it. And then Morning Brew picked me up off of like a blind audition. And I was making like TikToks for them for about like 2 years. And then they're like a business media outlet. They were a newsletter, and then when I started, I was like their first video guy. And so I was making TikToks for them for like 2 years. And their plan was they were like, hey, we are just gonna, we want to launch like a YouTube channel. That was like their big plan.
Yeah.
And we did that, and I was just working on like sketches for a while. Those weren't really going anywhere. They're getting some views, but not like what we wanted. And then eventually they're like, you know what? We're just gonna let you just like take over the YouTube channel, do whatever you want on it. And I was like, all right, me and then Henry, who I mentioned earlier, we have been buddies already. And I was like, what if we just make our own thing? And then the first video, I was like, I have this rant I want to make about consulting. And I was like, and I have this weird idea, and I'm just going to wear a trench coat while doing all these jump cuts in front of BCG's offices, which is where that is right there.
Yeah.
And that was the first video.
Consultants.
Where'd you go to school?
USC.
Oh, you went to USC.
Yeah,
Okay.
Not too far from here.
Your knowledge of like very Wall Street centered finance bros is very like it feels like you went to a school that's a farm for the Big Four.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, kind of was, man.
Well, I guess USC kind of is. I don't know. I didn't go to school in the West Coast. I went to Miami and then Rutgers, which is like
Yeah.
So I have a lot of friends in finance and consulting, which is why I think it's like I love these videos personally.
Well, that's why I wanted to do this, because I didn't know why. I had always said, like, if I could ever write for John Oliver, I wanted to do an episode about consulting, and I never got the chance, so we just made this episode. But it baffled me, like, how many kids that were some of the most like intelligent, talented, well-connected kids I knew at school, they all went into consulting, and then I would talk to them like a year into their job, and they would have no idea what they were doing or why they were there. And I was like, this feels like, to a degree, it feels like College 2.0. Where people who are really high achieving and don't have like a specific direction that they want to go in, they're like, okay, the job right now is just to get into a good college and then I'll figure it out. Yeah. And I felt like consulting for a lot of people was like, this is just like an inevitable next step that I'll do, So
yeah, and then you become Pete Buttigieg. And you are insulted for the brave work you did.
You learn Swedish or whatever you can speak.
And then you get insulted for the brave work you did as your time as a consultant for artificially changing bread prices in Canada, which is really fucked up.
Yeah,
when they bring that to you
and making some headcount reductions.
Yeah,
the craziest,
eliminating redundancy. This is very important.
It's very important work. The reaction to this video is nuts because the people who have by far loved it the most have been consultants.
Oh yeah,
dude, I was invited to BCG's Christmas party this year.
That's crazy.
Some girl from BCG. No, she was
murder
like,
you.
She was like, hey, like we all love your video. Do you want to come to our Christmas party? And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. Because you're gonna go there and just be like, keep joking about us,
Well, I have a relative in Turkey that is a McKinsey consultant.
Really?
And there was a point in time when, with my dead end political science communication double major, I thought like, yeah, this will satisfy my dad if I go work there.
Yeah.
And I remember him telling me like, not everyone has the makings to work at McKinsey.
That's what your dad. That's what your dad.
No, not my dad said that. No. My relative that worked at McKinsey said that to me when I was like, "Can I get like an internship or something?" And basically, I think he saved my life by not giving me that.
Did you try? Did you apply and everything? Did you like go through?
I did. Yeah,
what's their application process?
I don't remember, but it was rigorous and intense. I never made it to an interview though.
Was it actually like super intense?
Even I remember the portal being. I mean, this was like fucking 10 years ago, dog. I'm 32, so even longer than 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And there's like an insane job portal that you have to plug all this stuff into.
That's insane. I mean, it makes sense. I feel like it's one of those things where actually I've never worked in consulting, so I don't know. But I could see it being one of those things where the application process is absolutely insane. And then when you get into the job, it's like, I mean, it's a lot of...
Well, the application process is insane if you are doing it on your own. I think most of the people that go there, though, simply just have their immediate relatives working there. So they just get that nepotism hire internship. Please explain what the fuck consulting is. Okay, well, let's let the video do the talking.
Yeah, sorry, I keep.
They live among us, in our cities, our suburbs, and in fancy airport lounges that look down at poor people. But what does a consultant actually do? Today, we investigate.
Great editing.
Thank you. I take pride in that.
I'm here in front of 10 Hudson Yards, which houses the offices of BCG. BCG is one of the so-called Big Four management consulting firms, alongside Bain, McKinsey, and Deloitte. In total, these firms receive nearly 200,000 applications a year, but accept only 1.5% of them, making them more selective than Harvard and Princeton. But even with all this prestige, fame, and exclusivity, society is still unsure what the
I think
hell
my buddy literally lived in this.
Oh, he lives right there?
Yeah.
consultants do all day.
That's not. Wait, this isn't. You're not. This isn't Wall Street though. This is.
No, this is Hudson Yards.
Hudson.
Yeah. So if
Is
you
it
go
that
down that
management
block
can-
and then take a right, you're going to be at all the buildings that we are filming in front of.
Consultants actually do.
What the fudge is management consulting?
What is management consulting?
Clearly, these people are not sure what a consultant does actually.
So to answer this question, I went to TikTok, the place young people go for wisdom and mental health problems. Maybe I could find my answer there. I could not. So then I went to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which states that management consultants recommend ways to improve an organization's efficiency, which to me sounds boring. I had to go deeper. It was time for me to speak with somebody who had been inside the belly of the business beast and lived to tell the tale.
My name is Tyler Cook. I live in New York, and I work as a research assistant at Columbia University.
Tyler Cook is a research assistant at Columbia University, man with an earring, and former employee at Boston Consulting Group.
What
But Doris, thank you for the 10 gift the subs.
What does a consultant actually do?
Wear quarter zips.
Oh, dude, when we showed up to his house, I mean, we filmed all of these early episodes with an iPhone. So we showed up, and he was like, "Are you a legit like media operation?" Because it was just us and
an
It
iPhone?
was us, 2 tripods with iPhones, and then 1 camera person just doing this between us, and that was the whole entire thing.
I'd say go to meetings. Go to meetings and prepare for meetings.
Jesus Christ. It was worse than I thought. I was beginning to fear that talking to a consultant was actually pushing me farther away from my answer. So to try and clarify things, I asked Tyler to walk through a hypothetical case study with me, in which I am a struggling business owner selling a fake product called widgets, and
God.
he, my big daddy consultant.
What should we do with our widget company?
Well, first of all, what's the problem with the widgets? Are they not selling? Does it cost too much?
They're exploding in kids' faces.
They're exploding in kids' faces.
It's really bad.
That does sound bad.
So are you an expert in widgets?
And here's the consulting thing is even if you're not, the answer is always yes. So here's what we'll do. Sounds like this is going to be a big case. I think we'll probably need at least three to four teams. One team will be on the PR management for that. Another team will be looking at manufacturing practices and making sure that you're manufacturing them safely and according to plan.
Okay, this all sounds good. And how much is this going to cost me?
Probably somewhere in the order of for 4 teams for a 6-week project.
Easy 6-week project. not
Yeah,
big,
let's say probably 10 to 15 million, I think.
God, what?
It was in this moment that I finally realized what consultants do. Make money. And lots of it.
There's a lot of people who deride consultants, say they're, useless, and, they're basically regurgitating information that's being given to them. That's one thing, that does happen. But there's a lot of other work that consultants...
I can't trust this guy because his quarter sleeve is not Patagucci.
I don't even know what brand that is.
Immediately, I'm like, oh, well, you're not wearing Patagonia, so I immediately think of you less.
Yeah.
When I saw it, I was like, not trustworthy.
Looking down on
They
Mike
can
Forsyth.
go into a company and change things, or they can go into a government and change things. And what I mean is they can change...
Only Patagucci and Arc Vuitton.
What's Arc Vuitton?
Arc'teryx.
Oh, that's what that is now? I was seeing people wear that. My co-producer Henry is much more onto fashion than I am, and he told me that that's the new thing that people are wearing right
Yeah.
now.
Arc'teryx is the new thing.
I'm
yeah.
also 56, if you didn't realize.
Yeah.
that.
You're a very young 56.
Yeah.
So, every consultant I know is a fucking useless lib. I need to sell out. Well, my work offering Carhartt quarter zips. Oh shit, dude. They're moving into Carhartt territory, so they look like the everyman. Anyway, Morro Bay merge is from the city's aquarium. Yeah, exactly. Lame. Cares about the environment or animals and fish. Not cool. Anyway, do not group ARC with finance bros. Fuck you. It literally is. It's Gorpcore, and all the finance
is
bros are
Gorpcore.
doing it.
It's
Okay.
slowly moving over.
So, I mean, this video is satirical, but it also basically gets to the bottom of it, which is that consultants do everything and nothing at the same time, and most of their job revolves around what I always refer to as the elimination of redundancy. I mean, they refer to it as the elimination of redundancy, which is making a company downsize by laying off a shit ton of employees and then forcing the scared remaining employees into doing the work of the former team that used to exist, because now their job is at stake.
Yeah. I mean, and also like we talked to the craziest part, if, you know, Mike wrote a book about McKinsey called When McKinsey Comes to Town. The shit that McKinsey would get up to that I had no idea about. The craziest part of that entire book was at one point McKinsey hosted some type of party for like their consultants in China. And they had a big photo shoot and everything where everybody's like, it looked like a fire festival. They're like partying. It's like on sand dunes. They have tents and everything. And it ended up being like miles outside of Xinjiang. And people had no idea. And later McKinsey got like, you know,
in trouble?
I think they kind of got in trouble for it, but like not as much. Oh, sorry about that.
Oh, don't show your phone, by the way.
Yeah,
Make sure.
You're good.
Because I would just like, if you were gonna use it, I would make sure that it's like
I'll turn it off.
top down a little bit.
Oh, good. That was McKinsey blowing up my line. But
Yeah.
but yeah. So I mean, there's just insane anecdotes in that entire book. But shouts out to him and Walt Bogdanich. They were we hadn't even done a episode yet, and I just kind of hit them up randomly off of Twitter, and they were like down to be our first interviews, which is pretty cool.
That is pretty sick.
Yeah. So yeah.
Basically, two legal things: legal corporate espionage and being the face of unpopular decisions the company already decided to make. I mean, that plays a big role as well. Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're min-maxing. That's what they do with people's lives for the most part, and also play the role of. Forget who told me this before. I think it might have been Ryan Grimm, but they basically operate in a similar way to a firing line. Where some people have duds like fake bullets and some people have real bullets. And the way that you do that is so that people don't have to carry the moral responsibility or the guilt of like being the fucking person that shoots the actual prisoner in a firing line. So division of labor in a consulting firm works in that same way. So you just think you're like crunching numbers, not really realizing that like those numbers are actually, you know, causing great turmoil in people's lives.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't even gotten to private equity either. That's a whole nother.
That's
a
the
whole
other
nother piece.
other
But
side of it too.
a lot of consulting too is just, oh, you know, I know this is a good decision. I got McKinsey. McKinsey gave it the okay, and they got guys. They got Harvard guys. It's a smart decision because I got McKinsey to give the go ahead on it, and that's half of the industry.
You should absolutely watch the John Oliver episode of McKinsey. Is one of the best. You missed it when it was released. Have you seen this one? Apparently, John Oliver did do an episode.
I will say, it came out months after Good Works episode.
Oh, dude, that's for the record. That is not. I'm letting you know. That's not. That happens all the time. They do have a lot of writers.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
But ultimately, I don't really. I mean, if I see something that's like, damn, I've literally said that verbatim. I'm like, I mean, who gives a shit? It's like a broader audience that gets to see it. And my goal isn't to, you know.
No, they didn't. I see some people say they didn't copy. I have some friends who write there too. It was cool to see them pick it up after we had talked about it. I really do feel though, and I don't know if like we got like ahead of the curve at all, but now there is like, if you look on TikTok, there's this big trend. A lot of stand-ups talk about it too, of like consultants don't really know what they're doing. It's like I mean, even at the end of our episode, we call it an everything job, but a nothing job too.
Yeah.
And that seems like it's kind of more pervasive in the dialogue, but yeah, I haven't seen this full episode.
Our main story tonight concerns business.
So you wanted to write for John Oliver?
Would have been nice. Yeah, that was the goal. It was to do something.
My goal was to also when I'm younger than, I mean, I'm older than you. What the fuck?
No, I'm 56. So.
Yeah, well, I'm younger than you. My goal early on was also to be on The Daily Show.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't do anything comedy related, I was more so focused on the political aspect of it.
When was this?
That's what I wanted. That was my dream when I was younger.
Like in high school, you were like Daily Show. That's like, where did that come from?
I watched a lot of. I was in Turkey at this point. I was growing up in Turkey, and I was infatuated with The Daily Show because it was like one of the few like American media pieces of American media that like actually was fairly critical of the administration and war in general. So that was that was definitely why I was like so invested in it. Did you like Bill Maher? No, I did not. I was never a Bill Maher fan.
Daily Show was the
Daily
target.
Show, like Jon Stewart specifically, was my goat.
Yeah.
Even though I've definitely have differences in opinion with him now.
Yeah. What do you think of the return? I'm sorry. Were you talking about this earlier? Did I miss that?
No. The first episode was good. That's why we were watching it. We watched like his episodes at least on The Daily Show. It was decent. The first one, it pissed off a lot of liberals. But I think it's still going to be very like within the neat confines of what is acceptable in mainstream media.
Like certain things you can't say when you're still on Comedy Central. You're saying?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be like making any earth-shaking revelations. Like it'll be, especially when it comes to foreign policy. I feel like the reason why Jon Stewart was so unique, I guess, was that the reason why Jon Stewart was so unique at the time was because like he was one of the only this was one of the only places in mainstream media that actually was very critical of the Iraq war at a time when it was like a total no-no. Like you big time, you're not allowed to say anything bad or unless you be declared a terrorist and a lover of Saddam Hussein and Osama bin Laden.
Right.
And he did that quite a bit, and I don't think that he has that same smoke now for like Israel, for example. Like this is like one of those. I mean, he was also critical of Israel quite a lot back in the day, but I do think that nowadays the environment is infinitely more reactionary when it comes to American foreign policy than even back then. That's what I don't know. That's how I see it. Like liberals are way more bloodthirsty than they used to be. Like there was at least like a solid anti-war constituency, especially because like the war on terror was brought about by George W. Bush. So it was like, so there was that classic negative polarization against the Republicans at the time. You know, Bush era liberalism was like, it had more teeth. And then I think Barack Obama came in very charismatic, came in saying that he was going to end the war on terror, close Guantanamo Bay, and he totally changed the direction of liberals and the attitude that liberals had towards like the war on terror as America continued to do America shit and only escalated. And now I think we live in the post 9/11, post Obama world where the Biden administration is basically continuing, and not even basically, directly continuing the Trump era foreign policy as it pertains to Israel, especially with the continuation of the Abraham Accords and everything else, really. A full-throated support for Israel, reactionary sentiment advanced towards China. We're trying to wage war with China. You know, we must defend Taiwan at all costs. That it has gotten to a place where I think that there's total, complete bipartisan support, outward bipartisan support for whatever the American foreign policy agenda is of the day. So.
And what's interesting too about like, you know, it's interesting hearing you talking about how the Daily Show was your target, because I felt the same, but I feel like a lot of political satire. I mean, there's just so much of, especially, I mean, Comedy Central, like the Daily Show was so successful. They're like, what if we had like 4 more of these?
They all suck too. Like, I mean, no disrespect. I know a lot of the writers that worked on those shows, but like they weren't good.
Yeah. And that's kind of why we started Good Work, because we didn't. Oh, nice, people know about it. Because it didn't feel like, it felt like there was like a hole for business to talk about, and none of the popular shows were going to talk about business, and so it kind of felt like, you know, we had an opportunity to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's also so intertwined, like business and politics, but it felt like just focusing on corporate America, which had grown to be its own kind of like similar to, you know, when they started the Daily Show, there was this big institution of U.S. politics, but nobody really to like shake it up or call it out. I feel like we kind of came into the corporate world at a similar time, at least. You know,
Yeah,
they've been kind of
there's
quiet.
not a lot of criticism towards the corporate world either. 100%.
Yeah.
And it's a target-rich environment. There's a lot of stuff that you can make fun of, and I think it dulls comedy in general. As someone who's not a comedian, but at least like an appreciator of comedy, I feel like the more right-wing your slant is, or the more you play the role of normalizing a lot of the things that we experience, the less funny you get, and the less prescient your takes are.
Yeah, you know. Well, if anything becomes an institution, it's hard to keep it like provocative.
Yeah.
You know, you keep it, and that's what I'm hoping to get towards. Hey, if we can keep this going for 15 years, I hope to be boring. Everybody hates me. I just go out there like Ellen, and people cheer for me. That'd be great. I'd love to do that.
A little Dave Chappelle. What is this? This person is saying, I look like Trevor from Love is Blind. What the fuck?
I've never
I don't look
seen-
like this person at all, Chatter. What the fuck are you talking about?
You know, you couldn't rock a. Have you ever rocked a mullet ever?
I have, but it
You
wasn't
have?
like a solid mullet like this. It was like a little baby mullet. I had it for like a day.
What is a mullet? Oh, you only had for. What does it feel like? Does it feel like you're wearing like a hat or something?
It was right after I had already had like a very long mane at that point. And it was my
right.
transition into back to my normal hair.
You like having that length of hair? I've always thought about it, but I was told I wasn't allowed to grow it out that long. I've had this since I was like in the womb. So
But this plays perfectly into the character that you've cultivated.
yeah, true.
You do look like
I look.
You look like you
I look like
you-
Mike right now. If I had glasses on and a weird ass quarter zip or whatever brand that is, I'd look like Mike.
You look like you unironically do work at PricewaterhouseCoopers.
Yeah, that's why they let me stand in front of their offices and scream.
Yeah, especially when you wear the trench coat. It's like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
this guy belongs here. What the fuck?
Yeah, I mean when we did like I remember at SC we did like news anchor auditions the first day, and that was when you first start to like try out your news anchor voice. So you're like talking to people and you're like, hey, what's going on? Thank you so much for
What's
having
your
me.
news
It's
anchor
like,
voice?
You're just like, okay, I'll read right here. And then you go, hello, everybody. This is Dan Toomey reporting live for University of Southern California. And you gotta code switch it, you know?
Yeah.
So you gradually learn how to do that.
That was very believable.
Do you read all of these? Are you
Usually,
able to
I'm pretty insane with
That's
it, but
that's impressive.
I'm trying not to when I have a guest.
That's
'cause,
really good.
I mean, it's the worst skill to have. It doesn't.
Like this is crazy.
It doesn't translate to anything, and it gives me more mental illness than I already have.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
You're going to be great when we all have Apple Vision Pro stapled to our faces, though.
Yeah.
You're going to be really
probably.
good. You're going to be really good at that.
Yeah, I do already basically do that. This is like the command
Yeah, this
center.
is the full experience.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what's the goal for good work? You want to keep it up? You want to keep going? You want to keep making these?
Dude, we have so many more to do.
You guys are under who owns there's like
So,
another company that owns it, right? 'Cause you
Yeah, Morning Brew owns it because when it started, it was literally Morning Brew's YouTube channel. And then what happened was they were like, our videos weren't really taking off. And so I just posted some like TikToks that went super viral. We got a lot of subscribers off of those viral TikToks. And then my bosses were like, well, shit, nobody here follows us for Morning Brew. They follow you for your dumb comedy videos. We're just going to give you the YouTube channel. Do whatever you want with it. We'll
So
go
you're
start
still-
our own.
That's not good.
I mean, but at the time, we didn't even know if it was going to turn into anything.
I
You
know,
know?
but that, don't you feel like they own it completely? Do you like that structure?
I mean, I don't mind it because, again, we had no idea if this was going to like become anything. And they gave me a lot of time to really fuck up on the channel until we found out like this specific format. And it's funny, like we talk about it in the private equity video because people will be DMing us and they were just like, did you know this channel's owned by Morning Brew, which is a subsidiary of Axel Springer, which is under KKR?
Yeah.
And we're fully aware of that. But what's been great is that we're able to fully criticize private equity and all these industries. And we've never had like anybody tell us we couldn't cover something, which has been pretty cool. So,
Okay.
I mean, look, ideally, would it have been nice to start this on my own so I own the IP
Yes.
fully? That would have been
also
sick.
all the revenue that's generated.
Yeah, that would have been sick.
So they take the revenue that you're generating,
Yeah, I mean, we get like a certain cut of it, but
and you're also salaried, I assume.
yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, look, you know,
Listen, I started off under the Young Turks, and it became a real issue for me because they were very limiting, and they were making decisions as the IP holders on the content that I wasn't a big fan of. They would just be like, I would be like, I need resources, and they'd be like, no, what we're gonna do instead is we're gonna take the show that you built from a fucking supply closet, and we're going to give it to all the other hosts that will also do that same show now, and they will also be the hosts of the show. Things like that were very, very frustrating for all the work that I had put into it. But anyway, never mind. I don't want to get you in trouble.
No.
Seems like you have a better situation.
I mean, like I will say, Jenny, people have grilled me on this before. They're like, why don't you just leave and start your own thing? I mean, it'd be great if people subscribe to my own channel. That would be sick. But Morning Brew's been like super supportive of us making this. And again, we haven't been able to not cover something under them. So, and also we came out with the consulting video, which was our first one, less than a year ago. So we haven't really been doing this that long.
No, but there's something there. I mean, it's really good. I was actually shocked at, like, when I first watched this, I was legitimately shocked at how high quality it was for a channel that had nothing else.
It was fun to make too. We, you know, again, I handle a lot of the video editing and all the graphics and stuff, so it's fun to spend a lot of time on it. But yeah, man. I mean, it was the way that I found out you were watching it was I was at a comedy show that I was on in Astoria, where there were 3 people in the audience, and they were all there because they just wanted to drink at a bar, and then they were pissed that a comedy show was going on. And right before I get up, some dude's like, "Yo, congrats, man." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He was like, "Hasan just reacted." And I was like, "Excuse me?" And then he showed me the video, and then I was like, "Oh shit, I had no idea." So yeah, shouts out to Astoria. It was a rough show, but you know, that was when I first found out you were watching these, so it was cool to see that, man.
Yeah, no, it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ask him on the sports betting video.
Dude, that was our last one. That was our latest one.
Oh, I haven't seen this yet. I have a lot of thoughts on this. I assume that we have very similar opinions on the matter. I suspect.
Check it out.
What's you don't mind watching this together?
No, dude. I mean, I love like I've seen this video probably over like 50 times now, but you know, it's still cool to see it.
Okay.
In 2018, the Supreme Court overturned a law that bans sports betting in most places in America, a decision that has led to our lives today, which is waking up and being absolutely waterboarded by sports gambling advertising.
America's #1 sports book.
FanDuel Casino.
FanDuel.
Free chicken dinners with FanDuel Casino.
By gambling at
BetMGM Sportsbook.
BetMGM.
BetMGM. What do you want from your sportsbook?
Please help me.
Helmet catch. Stop guessing the helmet catch.
Is it the Caesars Sportsbook app with Caesars rewards where the more you play, the more stuff you earn, and they have fast payouts because Caesar is the man?
Yes! My God, they even got the Tennessee Kardashians. Sports betting has become increasingly normalized in America over the last 6 years. But critics wonder if beneath the legal gambling industry's rise looms a public health crisis of unknown proportions. So is regulated gambling a healthy future for sports entertainment? Or have we opened a Pandora's sportsbook, putting millions of people at risk of addiction? Let's fucking find out.
I've had my own throws with a crypto gambling casino.
Wow, that sounds healthy.
called Stake.
Oh,
which also then ended up getting banned off of this website that we're on right now, Twitch.
Yeah.
Which then turned around. I know the video is echoing because the noise gate is off. Shut the fuck up, chatters. That's why I'm like literally personally, doing my very best here to mute whenever. Okay, calm down. Anyway, as I was saying, Stake got banned off this website, which they then turned around and created their own competition to Twitch, but not really because they
they have a
literally
streaming.
Yeah,
is that what Drake does? Is that the Drake thing?
Yes.
Oh, that's where Drake's been. Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's called Kick, and it's a website known for hosting Drake and everyone that's been banned from every other website for very valid reasons. And it's basically held up.
It's Drake and everybody who got canceled.
Yeah, like Aiden Ross and all of those guys.
Damn,
and,
what an album that would be.
Yeah. Well, he might have Aiden Ross glazing up his penis apparently on the next album, as he said.
Is that the next dick video we're gonna get from Drake? Is him and Aiden Ross? That'd be cool.
Well, I don't know.
Did you see the Drake? Did you see his?
I did see his penis. Yes, I did already. I covered that. It was important news of the day, and we covered it.
It was.
So yeah, all right. Let's continue here.
Today, online sports betting is legal in 29 states and the freely associated island nation of Washington, D.C., with more states on the way. And with how quickly sports betting has become ubiquitous in American culture, it's easy to forget that gambling can actually kind of be bad for you.
We've now been able to show over the last 25, 30 years that when people who gamble, the same parts of the brain are being activated as if I were taking alcohol, tobacco, cocaine, or cannabis.
Dr. Tim Fong is the co-director of the UCLA Gambling Studies Program and a clinical professor of psychiatry.
It impacts
This guy's lame. No, lame guy, dude. He doesn't like sports betting. Fuck this guy.
sleep, it impacts mood, it impacts finances, it impacts...
He's in the pocket of big, happy mental health.
Big happiness, dude.
Yeah,
they're out there, man.
He's in the pocket of
fucking soy boy Tim Fong.
Yeah, not pushing.
Goes to UCLA too. Not surprising.
Yeah, libtard. All right,
relationship.
Yeah.
And when you have a product that's being given out and regulated by the government, it's got to be regulated and it's got to be understood.
In 2013, the American Psychological Association officially classified gambling as an addiction. Meanwhile, since its 2018 legalization, sports betting has generated a gangbusters amount of economic activity in the U.S. $220 billion in bets were placed in just the first 5 years it was legal. There are now over 16 million average monthly users of the most popular sports betting apps. And next year, online sports betting revenue is expected to approach $12 billion. But to understand this growth trajectory, we gotta talk about something called daily fantasy sports. Daily fantasy is an online version of fantasy sports, and according to my wife, a terrible reason to have my phone out during our kids' baptism. Fantasy is when you pick a bunch of real players, assemble a fake team out of them, and keep track of their stats. But around 2010, a new turbocharged version of fantasy came onto the scene, where you could set new lineups as often as every day, play in apps on your phone, and crucially, put money down on the results.
So you had two competitors that really arose to the top of the market here, DraftKings and FanDuel.
Kenneth Vogel is a New York Times investigative reporter who was part of a team that wrote a series of major stories about the betting industry's rise in America.
And they made a business out of fantasy sports and allowed players to wager, not wager, but put money
problem is
on the...
if like sports bet, like people who sports bet are so fun and funny.
Yeah.
And so, you know,
that is
they're
true.
awesome, dude. Like a lot of the comments that we saw on like we would watch TikToks of people who are like, you know, gambling, like gamblers help TikToks. Like, here's how you can stop gambling. And people are like, sounds like you suck at gambling, pussy. And you're like, that's hilarious, man.
Yeah, no.
Like, I want to hang out with that guy.
Skill issue. 99% of gamblers always stop right before they win.
It's right before they actually crazy quote. I don't think we had in this episode, but Tim Fong was talking about. He said gambling is one of the only addictions where you think doing more of it is going to cure you of ever doing it. He was like, nobody sniffs cocaine and they're like, I'm never gonna want to do coke after this bump, you know. But gambling's the one where you're like, if I hit this one, you know,
I don't have to do it ever again.
I don't ever have to do it again because it'll pay off all my problems.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he touches on this, but like I remember doing a little bit of research myself while I was covering like the dangers of gambling.
Yeah.
And one thing that I always found very interesting is that it's not about the win at all, and it's not even about the loss. The dopamine hit, according to researchers, actually comes from the anticipation.
Yeah.
Like, so it has nothing to do with winning or losing. Like, what is addictive is chasing that dopamine hit over and over and over again. The not knowing what the outcome is going to be right before you make the bet. That is what is so addictive about gambling.
Perfect transition onto the stat that I was going to say before that, which was they measured the dopamine that you get from losing and the dopamine that you get from winning, and it's the same amount in a gambling addict's mind. Because it's just the act of gambling that gets people hooked. It's not like the winning.
Yeah, it's the anticipation, they say, that makes it so addictive. It's that's what they're looking for, the uncertainty.
Yep.
Yeah.
Performance of their teams, they would push back against the use of the term wager there.
Even though gambling on sports was still broadly illegal, Congress had previously determined that fantasy sports were actually a game of skill, not luck, meaning that putting money on the results wasn't gambling.
Technically, sports gambling is more skill-based. Like, obviously, it's still gambling, but that's the reason why, like, I don't know if you know this, but sports books will literally ban you, or they do this thing called limiting. Like, there's a way to leverage your bets in sports betting, apparently, where you can actually end up cleaning. You can actually basically end up cleaning the fucking coffers, and therefore, as far as I understand, if you win too much, they will limit your daily bets dramatically, so that you have no shot of like ever call arbitrage. Yeah, arbitrage betting. You can do that, but then also on top of that, it's basically like, you know, if you can count cards, you can't play blackjack in a casino. And if you're too good at sports betting, then you'll have match betting and you get your account banned and no access to deals has happened. Every single establishment, if you're too good at gambling, they will fucking stop you.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, that's legal. I don't know.
There's we don't get to talk about this much in the episode. We put like the headline on the screen at one point, but there's this guy, Jim Chanos, who basically super rich dude who tried to short the gambling industry. But then recently, there's some Financial Times article about it. Recently, he like turned around his bet because statistically the gamblers in the US were losing so much money, like more than he expected. He was like, oh no, this industry's gonna fucking kill it. Because he thought like, oh no, the sports gambling industry, it's gonna get regulated, it's never gonna, and then people ended up making so much money off of it because people were losing bets and they were just becoming addicted so fast that he was like, no, it's gonna do fine.
It also, I mean, it's an amplifier where like you're not going to be, it's such a great win-win. You're not going to be as enthusiastic about some fucking random, like, you're not going to watch the Bills if you're not a fan.
Yeah.
But if you're gambling, all of a sudden you're invested. You actually have a level of investment, which translates to higher ratings, which translates to more revenue that you can generate for every single game watched. It's a perfect storm.
Yeah. Oh, if you're hooked, man, you're watching like teenage Thai boxing matches. You're betting on like you're streaming those. We talked to this one. We didn't get him on the episode, but he was a gambling addict, and I asked him. I was like, so what's the lowest point that your addiction took you to? And he said at one point he was in college and he created fake Hinge profiles of women, and he would like start messaging dudes and then gradually be like, by the way, here's my Venmo. Like if we really want this going, like, you know, maybe you buy my plane ticket to come see you. And then he would get money from them and then he would just use that for bets. And he was like, yeah, I was probably simultaneously 7 women at one point.
That's insane.
How nuts is that?
That's really fucking insane.
Reminds me a lot of an argument my high school friend Chaz used to make about the pullout method. The gray area in which these fantasy companies operated was pretty controversial, even at the time. A lot of state attorney generals and even some sportsbook CEOs publicly said that they considered daily fantasy to be gambling, but the industry saw it differently.
So you don't view what you do here at...
For the record, it absolutely is gambling. I know that it could come across as confusing what I was saying about like there is a skill component to sports betting. But of course, they neutralize that if you are too good at it. Something I did not know and was shocked by the way. Like they don't immediately ban you, as far as I understand. They will lower the amount that you can. They gradually or instantly lower the amount that you can gamble with, until it's you're basically rendered useless.
Yeah. If you're not a fucking Sigma.
Yeah. You got to do it right. You can't win too much.
FanDuel is gambling. No. That's a word that isn't used very much around here, I take it.
Still, FanDuel and DraftKings clearly understood that they were operating in murky waters and made a huge lobbying push to defend themselves. And they were pretty successful. By 2017, 19 states had passed laws explicitly legalizing daily fantasy sports. But this effort wasn't just about creating a legal framework for daily fantasy. The industry's big kahuna was still out there, swimming around in the deep blue sea, just waiting to be caught. I'm talking about full-on sports betting.
Breaking news: the Supreme Court this morning striking down the federal ban on sports betting. Now it leaves it up to the states.
When that happened, the industry was ready to get lobbying, thanks to their powerful network of relationships in state capitals that they built during their daily fantasy push.
There was a lot of like whining and dining. That was my colleague Eric Lipton and a photographer who went out to.
It's just a crazy moment, dude. This is literally a politician in Kansas getting lobbied, and they go to like a cigars and cars event where it's just this dude with this fucking torpedo cigar in his mouth, and he's just palling around with the lobbyists. It's like the most cartoonish like example of lobbying ever. It's so funny to me.
Seems you're a little jealous that he's getting his money up and you're over here getting your funny up.
That's true. Yeah, that's facts.
Yeah,
that's bars.
Kansas. This is a party that was sponsored by the industry, by lobbyists who were representing
the Legislative Cigar Caucus.
Yeah,
that's
the Cigar Caucus, dude.
That's awesome.
Industry. The lawmakers were smoking cigars and drinking expensive scotch that was provided by the lobbyists and sort of schmoozing with them as the debate was unfolding a few blocks away in the Capitol.
The industry's main arguments for legal sports betting, both then and now, are to fight black market gambling and generate tax revenue.
There's this big illegal market and there's no consumer protections, no tax revenue being generated. Why don't we just bring that in-house?
A lot of states are understanding that it's really just common sense legislation to allow mobile sports betting. It raises tax revenues and it puts an illegal market out of business.
And look, I know it's easy to go around bashing these
This is a pretty solid argument, by the way. I do agree. Like, that is the most solid argument you can make for it. The problem is you need to heavily regulate it, and I feel like they don't do that at all.
No.
Like,
I mean,
they don't even heavily regulate the places where you can do it. And there's two different ways of doing it. Obviously, you could just like ban it entirely and then prosecute those who violate it, which they don't do.
No.
And instead they have basically been like, all right, well, let's create an avenue for tax revenue here.
Well, and they legalize it. And then they go, well, we're going to legalize it and then we'll regulate it based off of what happens after. But then it moves at such a quick pace after it's legalized. They're catching up to regulating it right now, which is, kind of what we get into later.
Yeah.
Especially when they got this mid-as-hell Zoom background. What is this, a map of the lands you plan to conquer? Why do you have a black and white photo of the Industrial Revolution behind you? Come on, Matt. It could be worse. You've got some work to do, buddy. But my point, which I'm making very clearly and without getting sidetracked, my point is that the gambling black market is a problem, and regulating it would generate tax revenue.
One of our biggest concerns, we have so much of the unregulated sports betting market, right? So these are the websites that are based in who knows where. They take all electronic, financing, so they're not subjected to the regulations of the state. But trying to shut them down is impossible because you don't even know where they exist.
Now, it's impossible to know the exact size of the black market at this time, but some estimates had Americans illegally betting as much as $150 billion per year. But the industry's second point was that if states did vote to legalize, it would instantly create tax revenue.
One of the things that the sports betting industry had going for it, after 2018 was, it's sort of a perverse way to think about it, but it was the pandemic. I mean, the pandemic put a real dent in state budgets.
So the black market, the promise of tax revenue, state budgets absolutely decimated by the pandemic. It was the perfect storm for sports betting companies to capitalize on. And capitalize, they have.
There's a huge investor appetite around it. The companies are turning over massive amounts of money. Everyone's very excited.
Oliver Barnes is a reporter for the Financial Times who's been covering the gambling industry both in the US and the UK.
Lawmakers are also quite excited, right? Because you're sitting in a state that's yet to...
Do you know the number one place, by the way, for gambling and how devastating it is, apparently, the number one country?
Oh, yeah. Do you want me to kind of guess?
You say it.
Australia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My buddies are, they did a collaborative piece with the Friendly Jordies on it. and then the Friendly Jordies got like their fucking house firebombed and shit. There's like direct
What?
mob ties.
Oh
yeah, in Australia, if you're a YouTuber that's like covering the
the
gambling
Aussie
phenom-
mob. Damn, Australian mob's gotta be crazy.
It's so funny. You know what they call them?
What?
Bikies.
The bikies,
which is such a funny thing because it's like you can't be like a serious
No.
threat. when
it's
when
the
you're-
bikies.
It's the fucking
It's
bikies,
the
mate.
fucking bikies.
Yeah. So it's pretty funny. In my opinion, I find it very funny because it's like it's the least threatening, scary group.
Yeah. The bikies.
Yeah.
He got firebombed by him?
His house got firebombed. We don't know who, but Friendly Jordies exposed a tie between the Australian politicians and like mobs. I believe for their connection to one another, and then and like gambling legislation and lack thereof. There was no direct evidence, but it happened right after he did an expose on money laundering. Yeah.
There's no direct evidence.
Yeah. It was fucking insane.
But there's no direct evidence, so we don't know what happened.
Yeah, and I think he was also threatened directly and forced to take down his video. And I think someone was arrested who did have
Jesus.
Yeah, see? Alameddine crime family associate charged over Friendly Jordies firebombing. An associate of the Alameddine crime family has been charged over last year's firebombing of the Bondi house of political commentator and YouTube satirist Jordan Shanks, known online as Friendly Jordies. Kind of looks like Aussie you, actually.
Yeah.
Like, look.
Let's see.
Wait, I'm going to show. He looks like.
Let's see what the chat says.
No disrespect to you, but he kind of looks like you if you went through the Chad filter.
He does look like Sigma me.
Yeah.
Look at that jawline.
Yeah.
Damn, I feel like he could like unhinge his jaw and swallow me like a python.
Yeah,
you know?
he's hot, mate.
Look at him. Wow.
Yeah. It literally hit the wrong horse first. Police fixated persons unit harass him and his mates to total corruption. Yeah.
Wow.
I think he was a male model at some point. Yeah.
Yeah. Damn. Oh yeah, look at that. There's a photo.
He's not very funny though. He's not like funny at all. He's
it's
very
just straight.
He's very serious. Yeah.
Yeah. And now he's on hiatus.
My other buddies that are friends with him, they're very funny. They went to you'd like them. Have you ever heard of Boy Boy?
No, who's that?
There's two channels. One is I Did a Thing, which does like tech engineering, like stupid engineering stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one is Boy Boy. They went to North Korea to get a haircut.
Oh wait, I saw the thumbnail for this, but I hadn't seen the video.
Yeah, they like traveled to North Korea to get a haircut to dispel mainstream narratives about like the silliness of like North Korea, where everyone has to get a fucking Kim Jong-un haircut.
Did they pull it off? They do it?
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
Wow.
It was sick.
I gotta see this. Oh, there it is.
North Korea, the most dangerous country on the
But yeah, they also.
What is that?
These
It's
are the-
pretty eye-opening.
No, it was stupid.
Pretty eye-opening.
Love them. Oh yeah, this is from North Korea.
What is this? You have
This poster,
What?
they got me. That literally.
They got you this?
Yeah, Otto Warmbier could never.
You haven't checked this for cameras at all?
No, they're my.
This is watching us right now.
I don't think North Korea has.
What does
like,
it say?
Secret camera tech. I forgot. I think
This
it might
is
be like
insane.
a Christmas. Is it an Easter poster or some shit like that?
Does anybody know what this says?
I forgot. I remember doing the translate shit back in the day. But yeah, this is literally from North Korea.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Whoa. That's crazy. How long have you had this for?
I've had this for a year.
How many times have you been firebombed?
Well, I live in America.
Yeah,
But-
we don't do that here. We don't do that here ever.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
The setup is so
Oh, it says Happy New Year. It says to run the top of the hour ad break. Yeah, I'm gonna run it right now. Let's go. Hold on.
Do an ad break right here.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
This is my first Twitch stream ever. I've
Yeah.
never streamed. This is the first time.
This is a little bit more chaotic than I would say the average Twitch stream is,
Yeah.
but it's more like a podcast setting too
Yeah.
in some ways. So it's a more comfortable format that you might be more familiar with. But
Do you do an ad read right now or
no,
what?
no. I just run a 3-minute ad break. Most people don't even see it because they're subscribed. Yeah.
Okay, got it. I didn't know if we were about to do like a joint Dude Wipes ad read or something like that. I didn't know.
Yeah,
if I was gonna be roped into it.
No. I wouldn't do that to you. Don't worry. That'd be awkward.
That'd be so awful. All right, you can fuck off now, Dan. Thanks.
Yeah, it just says Happy New Year.
Look at that. Wow, somebody did that fast.
Yeah, there's 22,000, 23,000 people in here.
Wow.
Yeah. A Dude Wipes ad, incredible. You know about Dude Wipes? Yeah, I mean, I was just talking about it earlier
How
today.
can you not? I've listened to a podcast before.
Yeah, I was just talking about Dude Wipes earlier about how like my water heater is busted currently, so I had to use a Dude Wipe to shower myself with. It was like a shower wipe.
It worked. Did you feel clean after, or
no? It was also from a. It was like from a fucking.
This is the worst ad read ever.
Well, I didn't do an ad for them. They just send it to me. So like brands will send shit to me when they want me to do ads for them.
Right.
And then I just usually don't end up working with them anyway. So I just had it from like years ago.
Yeah. This is me actually just sneaking sponsored Dude Wipes content into the stream.
You're like Dude Wipes number
I'm
one.
like, but Dude Wipes are so clean and comfortable. And
what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so that's what happened to Friendly Geordies.
That's nuts.
So watch out. If you ever travel in Australia, don't talk about gambling.
Yeah, just go gamble. They love it there.
They do love gambling.
The pokies.
The most addictive. I mean, the most suicidal addiction, as far as I understand, as well.
Yeah, I read that stat as well.
Yeah.
Legalize sports betting, you have a whole load of tax revenues you can just switch on there overnight.
But in reality, many states who have voted to legalize have seen less tax revenue than expected.
The industry, the sports betting companies and the gambling trade groups push for lower tax rates.
While lobbying for legalization in states like Kansas, the industry argued that the best way for states to maximize their tax revenue would actually be to tax betting companies less, because it would create an easier market for the companies to operate in. Okay, whatever you say, Mr. Businessman. All right. But in 14 jurisdictions that legalized and followed the industry's tax advice, revenues in 2022 were nearly $150 million less than predicted. And in addition to negotiating lower tax rates, the industry also convinced many states to classify huge chunks of their advertising spend as tax write-offs.
When we talk about deductions for advertising and marketing, what we're really talking about is the promotional bets. And so what that is you see an ad and it says, get your first $100 of like free bets, or like we'll match your first $100 or what have you. And this is like an incentive that the gambling companies are using to bring in new customers. And what they...
Oh, another fun fact is, I don't know if you mentioned it in the video as well, but the way that they get away with this, other than obviously it's a tax write-off for marketing, the reason why you might be shocked, like why are they giving so much free money away, is because gambling companies do not generate revenue off of like the casual gambler that goes in and like fucking pulls the slot machine one time.
Yeah, and then dips.
They make money off of the whales. They make money almost entirely off of lifelong degenerate gamblers who are hooked on the addiction. That's it. That's how they do it.
Well, it's why when you see a gambling ad, it goes, hey, your first 5 bets are free, and then we give you more money. And we do get into this on a promotional ad that's DraftKings is being sued for in Massachusetts. But it's all just about getting people hooked. That's all they care about. You know, it's like why Robinhood was gamified. You know, they were going to make money off of people that became addicted to trading stocks. It's the same thing that, you know, social media companies use to get you addicted to like Instagram or like Twitter or whatever the hell.
Yeah. No, it's really fucked up because they're trying to cast as wide a net as possible to find like one out of like the 10,000, well, not one, but like if one out of the every 100 person becomes a whale for them, becomes like a lifelong degenerate gambling addict who will most likely suffer, then it's worth it. It's worth the money. Like they've done the research behind the scenes to figure out exactly how many hits it takes to trigger to find the one guy who's going to be a fucking gambling addict.
And it's going to be dudes between the ages of 18 and 25. That is their target audience. We talk later about how they have like partnerships with college campuses, but that's what they're looking for. They want dudes whose brains aren't fully developed yet, who are just starting to get money, and they're watching sports and they're surrounded by a bunch of friends who want to just like fucking parlay at the bar, you know?
Yeah, I think that I think that that's why like the most devastating impact of Barstool has been this specifically, I feel like, because it goes back to what you were talking about before. It's like they're so fun.
Oh, they're hilarious.
Like they're so funny.
They're a great hang, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
You know who's not a good hang is fucking me.
Yeah, fucking people who are annoying about like taking your fun away.
Actually, fellas, this is pretty bad for you.
Yeah, exactly. No, literally.
Yeah, no,
I know that personally. Like I have many enemies now in that field.
Yeah,
especially on the crypto side, which is shitty because like I also personally love gambling. Like I'm a fucking what is it? Like I have like a where is it? Hold on. Let me find this real quick. Yeah, I have like a fucking. No, this is not the right one. Where's my card? I have like a bunch of different cards. Like I got go to Vegas. Like I have a host.
Oh, you got it. Damn.
Yeah. No, I have I'm a MGM Gold card at this point, and it's like 2 steps below like the maximum card that you can get, and basically like I have my player's card and everything, and the thing is like I enjoy it. I'm able to like the way I do it is like if I get like this level of comp, I'm gonna spend it on gambling.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's the limitation that I have regardless.
Setting some limit on yourself.
Yeah,
sure.
Exactly. So
but dude, if it's on your phone, there's none of that.
Exactly.
There's none of that.
And
man.
you don't get any of the fucking benefits. Like the entire Vegas industry is propped up to like hook you in and make it entertaining, and not just purely for the the dopamine hit, right?
Yeah.
So that's why it's additionally hilarious because like I've talked to Vegas people about this particular thing because like it was a big deal when it was like happening, the whole like banning crypto gambling off of Twitch. And obviously they kind of loved it because they see it as like massive competition. So they're like all in favor of eliminating the competition. So I guess I'm not as hated in Vegas.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think all of this is just horrible.
Well, and it's the goal, which we kind of mentioned towards the end of this though, it's not over. Sports gambling was a step in the process, but the next one is iGaming that they want. I mean, then that's fully legalized gambling on your phone. Some states have it, but not as many as online sports betting. But once iGaming is legal on phones, you don't need to go to a casino anymore. You live in a casino. If it's on your phone, you essentially live in a casino. You can access it whenever, and if it's the most addictive thing that you have on your phone, you're never going to leave.
Yeah.
It's really they did was they convinced lawmakers in most.
Don't support the unethical gambling and betting industry, even if you can control yourself. What do you mean? Like, dude, it's the same as alcohol. Like, alcohol is awful.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if we invented alcohol today, dude, you would not see as many ads for it. If it just came out today and it was first introduced, it would not have the same, prevalence in advertising as it has now.
Yeah, 100%. But it's fun. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna fucking
fun as hell.
I'm not gonna sit around and be like, yeah, this shit. Like we should. I'm not in favor of like complete prohibition. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Again, if there's something that we keep going back to, it's just like, but also like my friends who gamble are a lot more fun than I am. You know, it's anything in moderation. You know, but also again, that's what these companies don't make a profit off of moderation. That's the whole business model. Like you said, they need whales to survive as a company and to continue growing. So moderation is not their goal. It's not what they're working towards. And that's and we don't really say in the video, like gambling is awful for you and you should never do it. It's more so just like, look at what people are trying to build here, you know, which not a lot of people are always aware of.
Yeah.
most states to allow them to deduct the cost of these promotional bets.
No, I think like one of the major things, if we keep pausing the video, I'm sorry. I think
good.
one of the major things is like limiting how easily you can access it. Like you can't, like even with alcohol, it's devastating. It's a devastating addiction, right? I mean, I famously, as I've talked about before on this broadcast, was arrested for a DUI. Never prosecuted. I'm still evading the law. Okay. But like I had issues with that 100% back in the day. And even then there's still a degree of separation from like seeing it and immediately being able to get alcohol. Right. Whereas like with mobile gambling, you have no restrictions and you can do it as a child, basically.
Oh, yeah.
You can
it's right on your
just do
phone.
it. And many children do it specifically on crypto gambling casinos online.
Yeah.
2022 alone, the industry gave out almost $1 billion in these promo bets, costing states more than $120 million in potential taxes. States are losing money on promotional bets. I'm losing money on promotional bets. You and I aren't so different after all, Kansas. Maybe this could work out between us. And though tax revenue generated by the industry post-legalization has been underwhelming, you might say the opposite about its approach to marketing.
Spreads to cover, overs to hit, and chances to live bet from the first down to the final whistle.
Download BetMGM. You know what to do.
The industry spent about $300 million on TV ads in 2023 and an estimated $1.8 billion in local markets. This marketing push even made it to college campuses. One deal between Michigan State and Caesars Sportsbook lets Caesars Caesarize part of its campus. Another between Colorado Boulder and PointsBet gave the school $30 every time one of their students signed up for the app and placed a bet. Granted, there's a lot of backlash to these deals. The lead gambling industry trade group now prohibits marketing on college campuses. And since then, Michigan State, Colorado, and other schools have canceled their partnerships. But what's so bad about these ads anyway? Getting Caesarized sounds fun.
The public health issue is that this is an addictive product.
Oh, I get it. Too fun. Richard Daynard is the lawyer who designed the litigation strategy against the tobacco industry, resulting in Big Tobacco coughing up over $200 billion and changing the way they market cigarettes. We lied and told him we were 60 Minutes, and he agreed to tell us about his next target, the sports betting industry.
There's the denial of dangers, presenting this thing as simply a harmless way to have fun. March 10th of last year, of 2023, that was the day that sports betting was unleashed in Massachusetts. There was just massive marketing. There'd be trash containers, it'd be on the side of buses, as well as on television. Just about anything you turned on would have an ad for one of the companies.
Unfortunately, it's been a while since I've turned anything on, Professor. Daynard's Public Health Advocacy Institute recently backed a lawsuit in Massachusetts against DraftKings, and its focus is on one of those fun tax write-off promotional ads. According to the lawsuit, DraftKings knowingly and unfairly designed a $1,000 sign-up bonus.
You'll see this is the kind of promotional bet or ad that we were talking about earlier, which is how they get people hooked with false advertising. So I just wanted to call that out before we get to this point.
$1,000 comes in the form of additional bets, which customers could only get if they first deposited $5,000, risked $25,000 within 90 days, and bet on events with worse odds than 3-1. Which,
you know what this reminds me of? It's like they hit it from the angle of like nefarious marketing, and it's always funny when like the worst thing you can do in business is not to like put out a faulty product that ends up killing people, but is instead lying to investors. So like Theranos, for example, comes to mind, where it's not engaging in like fraudulent business practices in the medical field, but instead it's actually lying to shareholders that ends up getting you in actual legal trouble. And this almost feels like a version of that, where they're not regulating any of the stuff that they should be. And this makes it seem like there's at least some level of regulation. See, we're touching on not all of the advertising, but at least the advertising that is hiding the additional qualifiers.
Yeah, this is really all you could sue them on is false advertising. But the rest of it, if it's just Kevin Hart telling you to download DraftKings, can't really sue him for that. You know?
And it's wild because like I can't even think of like any, like I really don't know if we have any serious regulation restricting like the type of advertising you can do on this field or any of the vices in general, really, since like I guess like the 90s or 2000s. I can't really think of anything like that.
There's it's kind of state by state right now. I know we talk about it in a bit, but like Maine, for example, you can't have entertainers do ads. So I think maybe if there's like, you know, like Jamie Foxx in a BetMGM ad, you can't air that in Maine or something.
Yeah.
But also, like, what's that going to do, you know?
Well, you protect the people of Maine a little bit, marginally.
Yeah. So right now, but again, it's state by state, right? So the regulation is catching up to legalization like years following. So it's
inevitably when enough congresspersons like children kill themselves, you'll have like at least passionate enough people.
Should
that
we
are
do
elected,
something here? Should we?
Passionate enough elected representatives that will turn around and make this their like pet project.
Mm-hmm.
And like you will get some level of like restrictions, or at least Jamie Foxx will have to at the end of the advertisement be like, and if you gamble, it's the most suicidal addiction. Gambling is really bad.
Yeah, it's super fast though.
Yeah, like exactly. Similar to, depending on the severity, similar to like, you know, all the warning signs they put on fucking cigarettes and shit like that.
Doesn't sound like I'm going to get $1,000.
The idea is for you to continue to bet, which is the way you develop and heighten an addiction, which is you keep at it, you keep doing it. We hope to, encourage, other litigation. This is hardly the only deceptive ad running in the United States.
And there is some backlash building.
We don't see cannabis ads on TV, do we? We don't see a lot of tobacco ads on TV anymore. And all that.
Which sucks. Because smoking is so cool.
Again, Tim Fong, pussy.
Yeah,
I called him that to his face in the interview. We had to cut it out.
I'm glad that you're doing the right thing by being a bold truth teller.
Has an impact on what people think and feel about that product, right? When you look at the gambling ads right now, they're all 120% positive.
Regulators in Ohio doled out almost $1 million in fines last year to betting companies for advertising that customers could make free bets. Massachusetts and other states have moved to legally ban advertising on college campuses. And all the way up there in Maine, lawmakers proposed banning cartoon characters, celebrities, athletes, and entertainers from being able to appear in ads. Which might sound extreme to us here in America, but is actually very similar to the way that lots of other countries regulate gambling advertising.
In the UK, there's like a whistle-to-whistle ban on football matches. You can't advertise like during a football match in terms of like TV commercials. Because of the advertising environment where you're bombarded with ads, it's very difficult to kind of escape that habit of like recurrently gambling.
The UK has also banned gambling logos on the front of Premier League jerseys, and other regulators want to move even further. In Australia, gambling ads are banned during games between 5 a.m. and 8:30 p.m. In Belgium and the Netherlands have fully banned gambling advertising on TV, radio, newspapers, and in public spaces. And these regulations are all reaction to the way that gambling has proliferated in these countries post-legalization. The UK Gambling Commission earlier this year said that as many as 2.5% of their adult population could be problem gambling. Meanwhile, in Australia, citizens lose more gambling per capita than in any other country. And some worry that if the
fucking skill issue, dog.
There it is. There it is.
If your country is known for taking the biggest collective L against fucking a bird, okay, then maybe you shouldn't take on gambling like that. Guy in the video kind of looks like the dude beside Hasan. Oh my god, I never noticed that.
What?
You do kind of look like him.
Who's the guy?
He's more handsome, I think.
Who's the guy beside? Oh, okay. Well, no, I mean he's an investigator, and I'm his PR people.
Yeah,
he only hires people that look like him.
Yeah,
we're ex-BCG.
The U.S. isn't careful, we might not learn from these more mature markets.
The real issue is, are we escalating up to a tipping point where we could develop a gambling crisis, like a gambling epidemic like we had with opioids? I don't think we're there yet, and I think having these conversations now should, I think, prevent and mitigate a lot of those things like that.
Well, it's all in a day's work, Dr. Fong. Happy to solve a public health crisis whenever, sir. So outside of ad regulations, what are some options that we have to create a safer, legalized sports betting market? One obvious tool is self-exclusion, which just means giving people the option to tell these sports betting companies, hey, don't let me use these apps ever again. But US self-exclusion technology lags behind the UK's.
So I go to FanDuel and I say, I want to stop gambling, self-exclude me from FanDuel, which you can do in the US. But you then also have to go and self-exclude yourself from all the other apps. In some states, you can go to the state regulator and say, please self-exclude me from all of them. But in some states, that's an online process where you fill in a form. In some states, you literally have to write them a letter. And you compare that to the UK, where I go and ban myself from one betting app, they'll ban me from all of them. When you look at the US, the actual safety mechanisms in place, there's just considerably less of them.
Other areas where the US can make improvements include eliminating betting with credit cards, which 20 states allow, taking a closer look at live betting during games, where bettors can wager on things like how fast the next pitch will be, bets where the odds are more advantageous for the sportsbooks than normal, and increasing the amount of public funding towards problem gambling resources. In fact, 9 states provided zero funding for problem gambling services in 2023, and according to Dr. Fong, problem gambling receives just a fraction of the resources versus comparable programs for drugs and alcohol.
Because the fundings that's available for gambling research and treatment compared to alcohol, tobacco, and substances is infinitesimal. It's tiny, barely registers.
Bars.
So we need to better.
This guy said, I self-excluded from a site. They told me I had to wait 24 hours to make sure I was sure. That's awesome.
There's a guy up there who said like he used to work at a casino and they dealt with a lot of people who were self-excluded. That's interesting.
Yeah. Oh, well.
24 hours. Are you addicted? Are you sure you're addicted though?
Yeah.
Or are you just a bitch?
In the 24 hours, you can also find out that, you know, you could have hit big.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
You could hit it big in that 24 hours.
I don't know, man. Because then it would solve all your problems.
Yeah.
It'd pay everything off.
Much.
Yeah.
Better understand, how do we keep people in that lane of social, recreational gambling without harm?
Looking at all of these legal problems, lawsuits, and Kevin Hart telling me to download an app he probably doesn't use, it just makes me wonder if this has all been worth it. Is the industry right when they argue that the legalized system we're creating is better than just the good old black market? I don't know. What does someone with a smarter voice think?
There's some truth in it, right? Which is, yes, they shifted a large number of consumers from the black market where there are no protections at all into a regulated market where there are some protections. But for me, I think the main thing that's understated in all of that is just the denominator. But if you just have more people exposed to gambling products, you're likely to get a large number of people who face the negative side effects of gambling, which is a small proportion. But if you have hundreds of millions of people using the product, it's large, right?
I think it's disingenuous to say that, you know, this is a safer environment for all these people, because a lot of those people would not have been gambling, I imagine, on sports unless it was just shown to them all over and all these ads and everything.
Saul Malik is a former gambling addict who now travels the country speaking about the risks of sports betting.
I do think that the technology, of course,
lame. Seems like he didn't win big.
Seems like he gave up.
Yeah.
Quitter.
Will accelerate it and also turn people who say they're sports bettors into casino players very quickly, because the need for action speeds up as it progresses as an addiction.
Well, the good news is now with all this growth, the sports betting industry is gonna take a beat and clear their heads and really take some time to get this thing right before we escalate any further.
There's actually even a further holy grail that they're still fighting for, and that they, even at that early juncture back in the 2010s, were looking at as something that was the ultimate goal.
Oh no, what's that, Ken?
And that is iGaming. It's essentially like full casino gambling on your phone. Turn every phone into like, you know, a blackjack table or a slot machine or whatever that could operate 24/7.
Right now, iGaming is only legal in 6 states, and I'm sure for many of you, combining doom scrolling with doom slotting seems crazy. But also at one point, so was taking this sucker out, dialing up a heater of a parlay and throwing that shit on your Amex. Legally. But think of how far we've come with sports betting. I mean, look at the NFL. In 2003, the NFL wanted to distance themselves from the industry so much they rejected a proposal for Las Vegas to air a tourism ad during the Super Bowl. And now, the Eagles are doing paid partnership posts with DraftKings. In 2 days, the Super Bowl is going to be in Las Vegas. If all of this could happen in 6 years, who's to say what could happen in 6 more? 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48, 54, 60. I mean, it's hard to imagine, really. But if anything, It's important to recognize that we...
America's #1 sportsbook.
FanDuel Casino.
FanDuel.
Wait, no, I'm sorry.
DraftKings playoffs, baby. The crown is yours.
I'm trying to finish the...
Oh, snap. DraftKings new sportsbook app.
For good work,
There's no better feeling than a win, except a BetMGM win.
For good work, I'm Toomey.
But that looks so cool. That
I know.
looks so cool.
It looks fun as hell.
Yeah.
I want to do that with Jamie Foxx.
That's what I mean. It's like that's what it feels like when you put $200 down.
Yeah.
I lost $200 on DraftKings because I bet that Travis would propose to Taylor after the Chiefs win. Wait, no, you didn't. That's a real bet.
Can people do that?
I doubt it.
I mean, you might be able to.
I don't fucking know.
In a way, this stream has been the best ad for FanDuel that we could have done together.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Well, that's because I'm secretly advertised by them.
That's why he brought me on here.
Yeah.
Whole thing. Just for FanDuel.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, dude. This was great. Appreciate it. Nice to meet everybody.
Did you get a boost from me watching your video at all, or no? Did you see anything like a noticeable bump?
Yeah. No, it was huge. I mean, again, like we've only been doing this channel for less than a year, so you watching it, people hearing about it, it's been crazy. We didn't even know that it would grow to be this big. So, and we got a lot more episodes that we're looking to cover. So no, man, I really appreciate that. But
hell yeah,
this has been fun.
Before you go, one last thing I wanted to say is that the reason I asked you about the reaction thing. I remember when we first talked.
Yeah,
and
like a year ago, or how long was that?
Well, it was. I said, big fan of your work, May 24th.
Yeah.
So last year, like almost an entire year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we were going to talk about collabs, and you were like, and you told me that.
Are you?
Can I leak this?
Oh my God! What? I forget what we pitched. Oh yeah, we pitched a crazy idea.
You were like,
I feel like the chat wants to see it now.
You said we'd be coming from the perspective of a small YouTube channel that's desperate for followers, and we'd be like critiquing your live stream, your form, voice, etc., all in a joke to attempt. What's up, dude? All in a joke to attempt to steal your followers. We'd then upload it as is. Then, if you wanted to, you could do a follow-up reaction during your live stream to our video. Like, what the fuck are they just trying to steal my followers? Jesus, they're so desperate, and so on. We could see where it goes from there, but it'd be funny to just have a small chain. Like reaction beef. And the funniest thing is
no
like
response, by the way.
Yeah, because
no response. We got
at
ghosted.
The time, because at the time
I thought I was gonna get firebombed.
At the time I was getting cooked. Because like I have friends who do you know who H Bomber Guy is?
I don't.
Yeah, I'm live. I have friends like H Bomber Guy and many others. Like we used to make jokes about like me reacting to YouTube content creators all the time. And I knew that if you were to do that, I would get fucking cooked. Because people don't think that it's a joke. Like, people don't. People get so mad.
There's too many layers.
On behalf of. People get really mad on behalf of like content creators in a very parasocial way. Even if the content creators themselves are like friends of mine who I'm reacting to. And they literally would have used that as an opportunity at the because it was happening right as people were like.
Sounds like it would have gotten us subscribers.
Yeah, you should have done it anyway.
Sounds like it was a great idea.
Should have done it. You should have cooked my ass. I would have gotten.
There's no response after we sent the longest.
Yeah.
It is 5 solid inches worth of a text. And we got no response to it.
Yeah, I literally said afterwards, like almost a year, like in September, I responded. And I said, the React stuff always gets me blasted by the worst losers.
That's great.
I'll do the other thing that you suggested, but definitely not.
Because we suggested another thing like a month later because we were like, oh no, he hates us now. I know 5 inches is very long.
Yeah, you were there are like there are YouTube channels of people who I've never reacted to that have done like 5-hour videos about how like I fucking am stealing content from small content creators and like half of it is just like my friends who are perfectly happy with me watching their videos.
This is proof that we're friendly. See?
Yes,
we've done it. But
wait, what was it?
It was a GFCI button, like I told you.
A GFCI button? So now the door works?
Yeah, it was just because it was raining and it was wet.
What? Wait, I don't understand.
The outdoor water heater?
Uh-huh.
There's a little outlet right next to it. And that outlet has GFCI. Like, it's so that it's for wet environments, for when you touch it, you don't die.
Okay, so what is? Why would that shut off the gate and also?
It's all on the same circuit. So GFCI is meant to protect you from like humidity, so you don't shock yourself.
Okay.
So you just have to press the button.
It's a mini breaker. Got it. Okay, well there it is.
Look at this.
Nothing to do with me.
Sorry, I didn't have a. I did not have a water heater. Remember I was telling you it was like broken.
Yeah, that was when Dude Wipes came into the picture.
Yeah, yo, this guy's funny. He's naturally quick with it. Look at that, dude.
Funny.
They're gassing your shit up.
He goes, funny. This guy is funny.
Yeah. Well,
anyway, man.
If you want to see how funny he actually is, and if you happen to be in Los Angeles,
Hollywood Improv tomorrow night, folks. The coveted 9:30, I think, slot on a Wednesday.
There you go.
We're gonna get down, but yeah, man, cool. Well, thanks for having me, dude. I appreciate it. Yeah, this is a lot of fun. I don't want to. This was. I can't. I don't think I'll be able to blink for like 3 days after looking at this stream of. That's crazy.
everyone says that.
Yeah.
It is pretty insane.
That's nuts. All right, man.
right.
I'll get out of here. But thanks, dude.
Thank you for coming on, brother.
Of course.
All right. That was Dan Toomey, no relation to Pat Toomey, of the Good Work channel. Sometimes normal outlets are daisy chained to the one GFCI outlet, so the whole circuit goes down if it trips. Americans and their pathetic GFCI. Yes, GFCI is pathetic. I agree. You need to show us your setup with chat. I don't want to show you that, but anecdotal. But after you reacted to the TikTok FBI guy, that video went from 300K viewers in 3 days to like 1.2 million after 6. Algo ran with it the day after the boost. All right, peace. Do you ever see guests like 10 minutes after you thought they left? All the time.